This is me back in 2007. Like Steven said, I teach people how to get healthy and lose weight, but I dealt with it myself. I was 250 pounds, 34% body fat, addicted to food, fast food, drank a lot of soda, very unhealthy. This is me 21, 22 years old. I'm 39 right now, turning 40 in September, and I think I look healthier right now on stage at almost turning 40 than when I was 21, 22 years old. Addictions to video games, bad behaviors, and I knew my life was headed down a destructive path, and I was dealing with a lot of things. 24 years old, 2008, I had a broken metabolism, physical obesity and mental obesity, prediabetes, high blood pressure, metabolic syndrome. And I remember having appointments with my doctor, and I would explain all the things I was dealing with. I'm overweight, I can't lose weight, I'm inflamed, I have brain fog, my whole body felt like it was on fire, high blood pressure, high blood sugar levels, and my doctor, who cared and wanted to help me, didn't have the solution. He didn't explain why I was dealing with these symptoms. He recommended medications. He recommended eating less, moving more to lose weight. But I felt hopeless with the solutions this person was giving me. And I was on the internet looking for solutions, but I felt hopeless and lost. So much so that I was looking for ways to end my life. I was exploring suicide. I was in pain every day. I would have to bring friends over my house just to be around, because when I was alone, it was all about how can I end my life. But what stopped me was thinking about my beautiful mother. I did not want her to deal with the devastation of losing her son, so it stopped me from taking my own life. It's the only reason I'm here with you today. I would have taken my life. So this is me smiling on my 23rd birthday, but don't let the smile fool you. People could be in pain, people could be depressed and suicidal, even with a smile on their face. And everything changed when I discovered this man. How many of you know this guy right here? Woo! Yeah. His name is Dr. Wayne Dyer. He's passed on now, but his work lives on forever. I started reading books from this guy right here, Dr. Wayne Dyer. And he would say things when I was in such a dark place, like, hey, I was blaming everybody for my problems. My genetics, my slow metabolism, my enabling family members. It was all about what was going on outside. This is the reason I'm so unhealthy. But then I got into Dr. Wayne Dyer. He would say things like, hey, if you were blaming other people for your problems, you would have to hire a psychiatrist for the rest of the world in order for you to get better. Okay, that doesn't make sense. That won't work. And he would say things like, what happens when you squeeze an orange? Let me ask you guys, what comes out when you squeeze an orange? Orange juice, right? Obviously. Why is that? That's what's inside. When life squeezes you and applies pressure to you, what comes out is what's inside, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your belief system. And at that point, it was poor for me, so my results were poor. When life applied pressure, what came out was stinking thinking. But when I took responsibility, everything changed. You see, it's not your fault. It really isn't. We're designed, it's a designed sick care system. Big pharma, big food, big gov, they're in cahoots to make us sick. So it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And everything changed when I took personal responsibility. I said these three words out loud, and I think a lot of people don't understand that word. That is your ability to respond to life. When your ability to respond to life is exceptional, you're going to get exceptional results. So the second I said, I am responsible, I felt empowered. I got out of that victim mindset. I took ownership, and my life changed. So here's what I want to do with you all today, right now. I want to declare that we're all responsible. And on the count of three, we're going to yell it out and declare it together. We're going to say, I am responsible. Let's do this together on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. I am responsible. Whew, feels good, huh? But you can't be angry and responsible at the same time. So after that, for me, I went from 34% body fat to as low as 6% body fat, 250 pounds down to 170 pounds, Size 38 waist to size 30 waist completely changed my, of course, physical appearance, and a physical six-pack is great, but you know what's more important than that? A mental six-pack. I overcame the depressive thoughts, the suicidal thoughts. And that was 16 plus years ago. I didn't gain the weight back because I focused on the metabolism. Now I get to speak and share at this amazing conference, which I'm so honored to speak at. By the way, guys, the timer is not running. AV team, the timer is not running, so I don't know how much time is on there. So I'm honored to speak at this conference. Robin is a blessing to all of us. And if I could do it, look, you could do it too. The body is built to be self-healing. I've written 4 best-selling books. I have a new book coming out June of 2025 with Hay House, and here's the cool thing. Dr. Wayne Dyer was a Hay House author. He changed and saved my life, and I get to call myself a Hay House author. It's such a full circle moment. So let's get into this. I'm not special, really, meaning like when you have the combination to a code, you unlock the code. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are, where you're from, the color of your skin. Like if you have the combination to the health code, you unlock the code. I said to myself many years ago, like imagine what would happen if I put this into a step-by-step system? And actually what happened a month ago is I decided to experiment with this on my YouTube channel, Ben Azadi YouTube channel. So I created this video about a month ago. You can see it has almost 400,000 views in a month. How to lose a pound of fat every day, 7-day protocol to burn fat. And it's based off of like 16 plus years of research and experience and working with a whole bunch of my beautiful students here, the keto campers that are here. And here are some of the comments I got from people who have decided to do this protocol. You can see, oh my God, I've been following this within a week from my husband, lost 8.8 pounds. Husband's down as well. What's interesting there is that she lost more than the husband. Usually it's the other way around. Easy to read, it's enjoyable. I cooked a lot of the lovely foods, etc. Never felt hungry. I'm so glad I found you. More comments like this. After watching dozens of fat loss videos, this video is the best, most succinct, usable content by far. Thank you. Love fasting. I'm down 18 pounds in 3 months, doing an 18-6, etc. This has been the most informative video I've ever watched on losing weight, etc. Best video I've ever seen on the subject. Thank you, new subscriber. This might be the best summary of all time on the web. But then I got comments like this. And this. I also get Christopher Walken, that I sound like him. Adam Sandler, some guy named Kill Tony, apparently he's a funny guy. Anyways, that was an experiment to see if I could take it to people online, and it worked. So today's presentation is about kind of that video, what I did in that video, but also 16 plus years in research. And how I'm going to do this with you all today, I'm going to present the problem, and there are 5 main ones and 2 bonuses, and then I'm going to give you a protocol for the solutions for all of them. So let's start with some of the stats out there. We know disease is on the rise. 1 in 2 men are diagnosed with cancer. In America, for women, it's 1 in 3. More than 60% of Americans are diabetic or pre-diabetic. By the year 2032, they're predicting that 1 in 2 children will be born on the autism spectrum. 1 person dies from heart disease every 33 seconds, about 695,000 people. That's 1 in every 5 deaths. And some of the stats on diabetes, I shared the 60%, but we also have every 17 seconds, another individual is diagnosed with diabetes. Each day, approximately 5,082 people are diagnosed with diabetes. That's 1.9 million people per year. In addition to those newly diagnosed, every 24 hours, 238 amputations with people with diabetes, 120 people who enter end-stage kidney disease programs, and 48 go blind. 68% get heart disease, 16% get a stroke, 70% get neuropathy. And here's the thing, all these stats are on people who are on diabetes medication. Just because somebody is on diabetes medication, type 2 I'm talking about here, doesn't make them exempt from those statistics, because it's not getting to the cause. And here's the truth, it's rare to die from diabetes. People die from the diseases connected to it. And this is the exact thing I saw with my dad. My dad and my mom immigrated to the United States from Iran in 1978, and I was born in America in 1984, first generation American. My dad followed a standard American diet. He didn't know any better. You do the best you can according to your level of awareness. And he developed type 2 diabetes. Again, as a kid, I didn't understand it. Year after year, his condition got worse. He gained more weight, started to lose his vision, get diabetic neuropathy. And in 2013, November of 2013, and you could take this off the screen right now. 2013, my dad called me in November 2013, and he said he was having really bad diabetic neuropathy where he couldn't even walk to the restroom. So I went to go get my mom, and I picked him up, and we drove him to the hospital, Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami Beach. We got him a hospital room there. And what happens is this, is if the diabetic neuropathy continues to progress, then an infection could occur because of the lack of blood flow and nutrients and oxygen getting to that part of the body. And that infection could spread to the rest of the body and potentially kill the person. So the solution is to amputate the foot or both the feet to prevent that infection from spreading. And they were explaining this to me and my dad in the hospital. So the fact that he might lose his feet became a clear reality for my dad. And in the hospital, he suffered a massive stroke, which caused him to become paralyzed, and he lost his ability to speak. And one of the most insane things is that the doctors and the nurses didn't even know he was having a stroke in the hospital. After we took him to the hospital, I came back the next day, and I walk into the room. "How are you doing, Dad?" And he's not talking to me. He's just looking at me like he wants to say something, but nothing's coming through his voice. Dad, are you okay? How come you're not talking to me?" And he's just staring at me. So I ran into the hallway and I grabbed the doctors, and my dad's not talking. I don't know what's going on. He's not speaking to me. And they do tests, and they determined that he suffered a stroke. He was there the whole night. They didn't even realize this guy was suffering a stroke. And it got to the point where he lost his ability to speak. His entire right side of his body became paralyzed. So they transferred him to hospice care. And I would visit him every week. And if you've ever been to a hospice facility, it's a dark energy. It's not a healing environment. Hospitals are not a healing environment either. But I would be there for my dad. And I would show up and talk about what's going on in my life. Here's what's happening with my sister. We got this new dog, Ziggy. That's when I got my dog, Ziggy, when my dad was in hospice. And I would play music for him and just console him. And every week, his body was shrinking before my eyes. He was hopeless with the way he was just looking at me. He couldn't even talk to me. And 9 months into this, it was August 11th, 2014, Monday night, went to the hospice. Standing outside that door, because I put on a persona to be positive for my dad when I walk in that door. So I'm working on myself to put on that persona. Okay, I'm ready to go. I walk in that door, and he's got throw up all over himself. He's convulsing, and he's shaking, and he looked terrible. And I've never shown this photo before. I'll put it on the screen. Sorry. This is me visiting him, playing music for him, and he used to always feed birds when I was a kid, and look, there's a bird right by him. And that night, they cleaned them up. And I looked at him in the eyes and I told him how much I loved him. I told him he's always going to be my dad. I'm always going to be his son. I kissed him on the forehead, and I didn't realize it back then, but I was giving him permission to let go. He was holding on for 9 months. And I told him the words, "Hasta la vista, baby," from the movie Terminator. He loved that movie. He said it to me all the time when he said goodbye. I said, "Hasta la vista, baby." And I drove home that night crying. I got home and I would pray to God like I prayed every night for months. "God, please end my father's suffering. He suffered enough. Just end his suffering. Let him be in peace." And there was a feeling and an energy that night that I hadn't experienced before. And the next day I wake up and I go about my day, and I get a phone call at noon from the hospice. My hands are shaking. From the hospice. And my heart just sunk in my chest. and I knew something was wrong, and I pick up the phone and they let me know my dad passed away that morning. And a wave of emotions came over me. If you've ever dealt with somebody in hospice or somebody that you love that's passed away, there's a lot of pain there. There's solace in knowing they're no longer in pain. Then there's the reality that you lost that person. And it raised a lot of questions for me. Like, why did my dad have to go down this path? Why are so many people in this system that is broken and not getting to the cause? And it took me learning and teaching health from a hobby to a purpose and a passion. And it's why I'm here with you today. It's what lights me up. And I just, I know my dad would be alive today. If I would have applied what I'm going to teach you today, he would be alive today, sitting in the audience, watching all the cool things I'm up to. But I also get this. I was given that mountain so I could show the world that this mountain can be moved. Your body was built to be self-healing. I don't care what any practitioner tells you that you need something external. It is not true. It is all within here. And one of the things that I love is to reverse type 2 diabetes. And we actually have a mission in the next 10 years to track 1 million people and reverse their type 2 diabetes in 1 million people. And that is the mountain to show people that it can be moved. And this is what I had to do, and I think a lot of us come to this realization sooner or later. The illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and then relearn. Let's talk about that a little bit. A lie told often enough becomes the truth. We saw that the last 4 years, didn't we? And one of those lies is the fear of dietary fat, and there's a term that I call lipophobia, which is a fear of dietary fat based off of 50 years of propaganda and misinformation. And one of the reasons why they think cholesterol causes heart disease, for example, is because when you look at the arteries in an autopsy of a heart attack victim, you see a lot of cholesterol built up in the arteries. Therefore, the cholesterol was the cause of the heart attack. That's like saying, hey, every time there's a fire in my neighborhood, I notice firefighters at the scene of the crime, so they must be the cause of each fire. That's a stupid thought, isn't it? Because they're there, what? To put out the inflammation. Cholesterol is there to put out the inflammation of the body. So we know Dr. Avadia, who's here, love Dr. Avadia. Yeah, give Dr. Avadia a big round of applause. Yeah. And I got a clip from a podcast I did with him on my Metabolic Freedom podcast, and he's going to make the case that the only cause of heart disease is damage to the blood vessel lining. So check this out.
Forms of heart disease. But the most common form is what we call atherosclerotic heart disease, the buildup of plaque within the arteries of the heart that can ultimately lead to things like heart attacks. And when you look at atherosclerotic heart disease, it really comes down to one major factor, and that is damage to the blood vessel wall. That is the inciting event that has to happen for these plaques to start to build up. Now, what causes that damage? That's where we get into some different factors.
That's the big question.
Ones, yeah. Yep. The big ones are going to be insulin resistance, first, and foremost, probably the most common problem today. Smoking is another big one. Now, we've done a pretty good job at cutting down on the smoking rates. And, that ultimately is what led to some of the improvements we saw around heart disease, throughout the 1980s, 1990s, and, up until about 2000, when that downward trend that we were seeing started to go back up again. Probably high blood pressure is the other most common one we see. But again, high blood pressure acts via insulin resistance.
So high blood pressure acts via insulin resistance. Insulin was the common theme there, wasn't it? So why isn't the truth being told to us? Well, there are 15.4 billion reasons why. That's how much the statin industry made in 2023. We know that cholesterol is not an issue. As a matter of fact, most heart attacks take place with normal to low cholesterol than high cholesterol. And this is in 2009. We've known this for quite some time. And as another matter of fact, having a total cholesterol under 200 can be problematic. I had Dr. Nathan Bryan, who's a world-renowned nitric oxide researcher, And in this 60-second clip, he's going to explain why you don't want a low cholesterol. Check it out.
That you're more concerned if somebody has a total cholesterol of less than 200 versus somebody who has a higher cholesterol. Explain that and what it does to block nitric oxide.
Our body makes cholesterol, and so our body doesn't make mistakes. If our body needs cholesterol, our body's going to make it upon demand. So we get cholesterol from the diet. We also get it through endogenous production. Cholesterol is also the backbone for things like testosterone, estrogen, vitamin D. So if our cholesterol gets too low, we can't make hormones for vitamin D. We have a global epidemic of testosterone deficiency in men and hormone imbalances in women and vitamin D deficiency. Our body heals itself, right? Our body senses what's going on and self-corrects. But if we have a drug that inhibits endogenous cholesterol production, which is what a statin does, then our body can't respond. So if it senses that we're not getting enough cholesterol or that we need to make it, then the body can't. The consequences of that are obviously obvious now.
Most doctors won't tell you that, right? And he also has another video, which I'm not going to share, but he talks about mouthwash, antiseptic mouthwash, blocking nitric oxide and raising high blood pressure and risk of cardiovascular disease. And keto, for example, ketones are very protective, actually, for the heart. And one of the most common things I get on social media is, I'm doing keto, my cholesterol's up, what should I do, Ben? And I usually say, good job, you'd probably feel better. But here's the thing. I mean, this study is showing that ketones actually have a protective effect for the heart. And that makes sense because ketones are signaling molecules that work with the mitochondria, and the heart have one of the highest concentration of the heart cells have the highest concentration, or one of the highest concentrations of mitochondria in their cells. And we know that since 1930, and here's the thing, this might trigger some people, and hear my heart here. Obesity is not a genetic problem. In 1930s, obesity rates were less than 1%. Our genetics don't change that fast because it's about to be 50%. Somebody tell that to Oprah. But check this out. Here's how it goes. 1988, you can see we didn't have anything over 14% until the early 90s, and as you can see, as it progresses, 15 to 19%, 20%, over 20% in certain states, and it goes on and on and on into the 2000s, and it's grown and grown and grown. Harvard is saying by the year 2030, half of the population in the United States will be obese. This study is showing that only 12% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy, or metabolically healthy, meaning 88% of people are in a keto deficiency, essentially. And then the other study, which is the title of my talk, showing 93% of American adults are metabolically unhealthy, and I say they're in a keto deficiency. They just forgot how to burn fat. So obesity was very uncommon before the 1970s, and the goal is to get to the problem and to prevent it. Einstein said, intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them. So how do we do that? It's all about metabolism. Metabolism can be very complicated, and it can be very simple. I'll explain the simple version. The Greeks call metabolism transform. Your body takes food, protein, fat, carbohydrates, and transforms that into energy. Or you take sunshine, or oxygen, or body fat, and you use it for energy and burn fat. The metabolism was built that way, and it's all about cellular metabolism. So now we get into the 5 root causes of metabolic dysfunction and the protocols. Number 1 is going to be high glucose and insulin spikes. High insulin levels is the first domino to fall that will lead to all of the metabolic conditions and cancers and heart disease, etc. And here's the thing. There's a study called the Whitehall study which showed that on average, people's fasting blood sugar levels won't change for about 14 years because insulin is being cranked out at a high aggressive rate, keeping those fasting blood sugars down. And then after 14 years, the beta cells of the pancreas and the receptor sites for insulin are inflamed. Now the blood sugars increase, and then it's a type 2 diabetes diagnosis. And we know that leads to high blood pressure, cancer, autoimmune, etc. But the first domino to fall is insulin. So one of the most important things I want you to get done this year is a fasting insulin. Make sure it's in the single digits. That's an important test. The average American consumes over 200 grams of carbs per day. And according to my colleague, Dr. Don Klum, they're eating 17 to 23 times per day. Ben, that's made up, dude. There's no way that's true. Well, think about it. It's the grazing, the sip of kombucha, the handful of almonds. These are healthy examples, I guess. Almonds, maybe not. But every time you eat something, a meal or a snack, you raise glucose and insulin, it's a meal to the body. And the average person is doing that pretty much every hour they're awake. And this is showing how destructive glucose is in your body when it's elevated. This study shows that if your A1C, which is the 3-month average of your glucose, and Dr. Boz could give you a masterclass on that, if your A1C is at 7.5% or higher, every year it's at that level, you lose 100 days off your lifespan. All right, I did the math for you. Actually, my fiance helped me do the math here. If it's at that level for 15 years, you lose 4 years off your lifespan. That's how destructive high levels of glucose is inside of your body. So the analogy here from my friend Dr. Jason Fung is this. What would happen if I grab my phone, got Spotify, and of course I'm going to listen to the Killers because they're the greatest rock band in the world, and I start listening to the Killers, Mr. Brightside, When You Were Young, all my favorite songs, and over and over and over, but I never take a break. I have the headphones on, music at 50%, but I never take the break. I go to bed listening to Mr. Brightside. I wake up listening to When You Were Young. I just keep listening to the music. After about a month, the volume is going to sound like it's decreasing. Am I going deaf, or why can I hear it the same way I did a month ago? Well, instead of taking a break from the music, I just increased the volume to 70% because I could do that on my phone. Same thing, listen to it for a month, and imagine me I keep doing this for a few months until I'm at 100% volume. What is happening? I'm going deaf to the music. Now, what is happening when you're eating high carbs and eating it frequently? You're going deaf. Your receptor sites, your insulin receptor sites, can't hear the message of insulin. Your pancreas, the beta cells, are screaming at your cells, producing insulin because of the amount of carbs you're having, but the message is not heard. And the blood sugars are increased, and we're damaging our tissues, and we're damaging our body. So what's the solution? Dial down the music. Ketone fasting. And I'm going to give you 2 easy ways to burn fat instead of sugar in the next 7 days. This is a keto beginner tip. If you're already doing keto, this probably won't be relevant for you. But the first tip is the 2-2-2-2 rule. You just eat these quality fats throughout the day, not all at once, but throughout the day, for 7 days to get your body familiar with burning fatty acids instead of glucose. You can see it's olive oil, coconut oil, whatever your favorite fats are, and then 2 teaspoons of sea salt to replenish the minerals and electrolytes that are lost as you lower insulin. Second step is to simply gradually, and by the way, this is, even if you know this stuff, it's a great tip to give to your friends who are sugar burners and actually could transition to fat burning. The next step is to slowly decrease your carbs until you reach under 50 total grams of carbs. That's going to shift the switch to your metabolism to tap into your body fat. And if you do it with the increase of sea salt and the healthy fats, there shouldn't be anything like a keto flu or a headache. It's an easy transition. And I like the Chronometer app to track that. There's another important thing to consider with keto. It's the soccer mom organ, the liver. And I say that because like a soccer mom that does so many things, the liver does so many things for the human body. And it's really important to support bile to break down dietary fat, especially when you're increasing your fat. So we do that with bitters. I know it's not necessarily carnivore, but bitter for the liver. So these bitters stimulate bile production, help to break down fat, and that's a list of my favorite. The coffee, for sure, is my #1 favorite one on there. And then the next thing is to practice intermittent fasting once you're fat adapted. And Danielle Hamilton, I'm not sure if she's here, but yesterday her lecture was fantastic because she talked about how our hormones are designed to eat most of our calories during the day. And there's an interesting study. You can see this is an 18-6 fasting protocol here, but I put in there 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. have your eating window in there. And there's a very interesting study from University of Birmingham by Dr. Courtney Peterson. They took 2 groups, controlled everything in the lab. One group ate their meals between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m., which is the schedule I'm recommending here. The other group ate between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. So same fasting window, same eating window, same food, same calorie. They controlled everything. But what was interesting is that after 4 days of doing this, the early time-restricted feeding group, meaning the group that ate between this window, had 22% more autophagy. They measured it through a protein called LC3A protein. 22% more autophagy, that self-cleansing process, and 10% of their sirtuin genes were activated, which protects their DNA. with just eating early in the day. Now, I know that's not ideal for a lot of our schedule, but if you could just get into the habit of getting most of your calories early in the day, you're going to be able to achieve some results. We are doing a 3-day keto challenge on June 10th with Coach Alina, who's right here, Coach Becky, who's somewhere here, and Coach John, who's not here today. If you want to join or have your friends join, it's free. It's going to be fantastic. It's either ketocampchallenge.com or you could scan the QR code. Number 2 are toxins, the number 2 cause. The Environmental Working Group examined the cord blood of newborns, and they found that the average baby began life exposed to 287 of the 413 chemicals in the study, and 180 of them were known to cause cancer. This study is showing that the average person eats a credit card every week, which is 5 grams of plastic, enough to make up a credit card. This study is showing, the study is the next slide, but this is showing you that cash register receipts have 250 to 1,000 times more BPA than what's found in canned food. And think about that. We grab the receipt, put it in our pocket. Some women put it in their bra. I see that sometimes. Some people put it in their mouth. That is BPA going into the body. And toxins are a problem. It's not about calories. Calories matter, but they're not important. It's about these obesogens. So I used to teach calories in versus calories out. And here's the thing. If somebody is just telling you, hey, you want to lose weight and restore your metabolism, just eat less and move more, here's the problem. That's like asking Warren Buffett, who's one of the richest men in the world, and I got a question for Warren, and he selects me to ask the question, and I'm so grateful. And he says, what's your question, Ben? And I say, Warren, how do I get rich like you? I want to be wealthy like you. And he goes, that's easy, Ben. Just spend less than you earn. All right, next question. Say, yeah, Warren, that makes sense, Warren, but what's the solution, right? Telling people to just eat less and move more, it makes sense, but what is the solution? It doesn't work. It's these obesogens that activate a pathway that increases fat cells, and they're called lipophilic fat cells, meaning fat-loving, and they disrupt the metabolism. They're called obesogens, and there are a set of toxins called diabetogens, which disrupt the beta cells to produce pancreas, leading to insulin resistance and diabetes. And these are a set of the most common toxins out there, but the protocol will be even better for you. So number 1, drink out of glass instead of plastic whenever possible. Number 2, use glass Tupperware instead of plastic. Number 3, say no to cash register receipts. Number 4, do an audit on your household supplies and home environment. And number 4, get a Jasper. I mean, that product is great. Mike is fantastic. I have 3 of them in my house. Get a Jasper. You could use Keto Camp for $200 off if you want. Number 3 are these seed oils. Adulterated seed oils. Key term there. We know that the incorporation of these seed oils have really skyrocketed over the years. It's estimated that 80% of seed oils are in all of the products in America. And how many of you know Dr. Kate Shanahan? Raise your hand. Yeah, Dr. Kate. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She was Kobe Bryant's nutritionist with the Lakers. She has a brand new book coming out this month, actually, called Dark Calories. Add that to your list. I just did a 2-hour interview with her coming out next week, all about it. But I've always asked her this. Dr. Kate, which scenario, I'm going to give you 3 scenarios, which scenario leads to disease faster? Smoking cigarettes every day, eating processed sugar every day, or consuming seed oils every day? What did she say? Yeah, y'all are smart, of course. She said that it's easy, it is the seed oils. And here's why. The half-life of these vegetable oils are 2 years. Meaning if you remove them today, 2 years later, half of them will be in your mitochondrial membranes, cell membranes, creating inflammation. And I was going to play this video. I don't have time, but I recommend everybody go on YouTube and watch the video, how canola oil is made. If you haven't seen it, you can see how disgusting these oils are. And this study showed, check this out, I got this from Dr. Kate's book. The average 5-ounce serving of fries, the aldehyde contents, aldehyde is a known carcinogen. The aldehyde contents are not dissimilar to those arising from smoking daily 25 tobacco cigarettes. Essentially this, a large order of French fries at McDonald's contains 20 to 25 cigarettes, so pretty much every French fry, every single fry is like smoking a cigarette to your body with the carcinogens it produces. And the reason is because of the way they're processed. It's not that all seed oils are bad. I want to make that clear. Cold processed organic seed oils are really healthy for the cells, depending on the type. But most of them are adulterated and processed at high heat temperature. So here's the list. Oh, well, before I give the list, always remember this. PUFAs, which are the polyunsaturated fats, PUFAs go poof, they oxidize in your body. So always remember that as to why they're inflammatory. But here's the list of the ones you want to avoid. Canola, corn, soybean, cottonseed, safflower, refined peanut oil, sunflower oil, grapeseed oil, and fish oil is considered a unstable fat as well. The swaps are going to be saturated fats and monounsaturated fats. The ones that are animal-based are better for cooking. The ones that are more fruit-based are better for salad dressings and dips. When I go to restaurants, I use something called my seed oil allergy card, where I tell the server, I used to tell the server I was allergic, now I use the card, and it shows on the card, these are the 9 oils or the 8 oils I'm allergic to. Can you please use a healthier swap? And it works like a charm. And you could get the digital download for free if you're watching online over at seedoilcard.com or scanning that. But at my book signing today at 2 p.m., I have 100 books and I have about 55 seed oil cards. So the first 55 people that come will get a printed seed oil card. And then I have the second edition that just released today of Keto Flex. I have 100 of these for the first 100 people. So that's at 2 p.m. at the networking lounge. I'll get that to you. And that'll be some fun. Okay, and the book has been endorsed by, of course, some of the best people in the space. Glyphosate is the next one. Glyphosate, Dr. Stephanie Seneff, well, she's not a doctor. Stephanie Seneff is an MIT researcher. She makes the correlation that glyphosate, pesticides, herbicides, Roundup, correlations, not causations, but at the time of the application of glyphosate, and she tracked it to specific conditions. So dementia and glyphosate tracks pretty closely. Diabetes and glyphosate tracks pretty closely. Autism, pretty closely. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. And her research shows that glyphosate makes heavy metals go deeper in the bones and the tissues, making it harder to get to. So the protocol for this would be eat organic as much as possible, look up the clean 15 versus the dirty dozen, take high quality fulvic and humic minerals like beam minerals back there with Caroline, great for yeah, awesome. We love Caroline, Alan, yeah. Awesome for removing some of the glyphosate, or move to Italy because they've banned this stuff, right? Thank you, Italy. Fed likes that. Number 5, sick care. Let's talk about that. It's a cash cow, isn't it? Here's the example. Somebody goes to the convenience store, they get convenient food, and that has a lot of frankenfood ingredients, which causes symptoms. They go see their doctor, and their doctor prescribes a prescription, tells them, here's the prescription, go back to the same store, now walk to the back and get your prescription. And they don't change their lifestyle, they keep going to the front of the store, getting more symptoms, more medication, back and forth. Back and forth. Pretty brilliant, evil model. But symptoms are a gift for innate intelligence. It's your body's check engine light. And a cured patient is a lost customer. One of the most important things, Buzz is going to like this, that I learned is from Neville Goddard. We are only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. The subconscious mind runs the show, and our environment is very important. I'm going to give you an example here. Here's me and my mother. I love my mom. Every Thursday, me and my fiance Natasha, we drive to her house, her apartment, and we have dinner with her. But there is a problem with the dinner. She has the television on the whole time. And she watches Hallmark, Alina's favorite channel. And I would see the commercials on there, and it's like, Big Pharma, take this if you can't get an erection, but then if you take it and have an erection for more than 4 hours, go see your doctor. And then this for bipolar, but then it's going to lead to actually more suicidal thoughts. And you're like thinking, what? And they have somebody smile that looks pretty, and then it confuses you. And then, fast food, et cetera. So I asked the question, what percentage of commercials are funded by Big Pharma? I have a second edition Keto Flex book for somebody who's going to... Is that Julie? 75%. Julie, come get the book. Give Julie a big round of applause. Keto camper. 75% of all the commercials. The next question I asked was, okay, out of the 195 countries, how many of them allow this? New Zealand and the United States. Tammy, was that you? Who said 2? You said 2. Yeah, you get it. Yeah, big round of applause here too. Here you go. It's hard to see with the lights, I'm sorry. The next question I asked, okay, out of the remaining, so we already know 75% big pharma, so 25% less. Out of that remaining, how much is it from fast food? Who said 15? All right, the first person who said 15, come up here. I don't know who it was. Honor system. It's about, yeah, give a round of applause. It's about 11 to 29%, but I'm going to average by 15. So here's the book for you. But isn't that incredible? Here you go. Enjoy it. We are being bombarded. We are being brainwashed. And this is how it works. Your environment, let me go the opposite direction. Your environment controls the thoughts that you think and your belief system. The thoughts that you think and your belief system determine the actions you take or don't take, determine the results you get in life, and essentially your destiny. So it starts with your environment. And if we're watching these commercials, if our children are watching these commercials and they're brainwashing us, it's going right into our subconscious mind, developing a belief system that the body is not built to heal itself. We need this medication or surgery. And that's, in lack of a better word, bullshit. We know this. I actually don't have enough time to go over that, or George Costanza, but I want to talk about this. Here's the protocol. Turn off the television. Do the opposite of what mainstream tells you to do. Do an audit on your friends and family and choose wisely. And then create more content than you consume. You're learning a lot this weekend, and share that with your friends, either on social media or not. All right, bonus cause. Maybe I won't get through my slides. Jeez, pressure. You think I could do it, guys? Too much biohacking. Wow, I'm at a biohacking conference. Here's the story. If your stress bucket is overflowing, I made the analogy yesterday about a cup that's full, and you add more stressors, which is all these biohacks, you violate a principle called hormesis. When you stay in that green zone right there, you get all the benefits of biohacking and stressors. But if you do too little or too much, you lose those benefits. So here's, a list of a few of them: red light therapy, cold plunge, sauna, fasting, PEMF. I love them all, don't get me wrong, but here's a story, quick story, of me running out or violating hormesis. A few years ago, I was in Seattle, Washington, and we went to this mountain called Snow Lake Mountain, where me and my best friend, Ronald and Carla, we hiked for 2 hours, and we went to this beautiful lake, Snow Lake Mountain, and even though it was the summer, the ice was still melting into the water, so it was freezing water. This is in 2017, I believe. And at this time, I was dealing with, I have Raynaud's. Anybody know what Raynaud's is? It's Raynaud's syndrome. And when you are exposed to colds, it could make your hands go white, you lose blood flow. And I knew I had it, but I didn't understand it back then too much. So I cold plunged. And here's the photo of what happened after. I almost lost my hands. My hands, if you could take it off the screen here for a second, my hands went completely white and purple all the way to right here. And I couldn't even close my fist. And if you go back to the photo now, that's me putting my their socks on my hands to warm up. They didn't realize how bad it was. They're taking a photo like, here we are. Now they're like, oh my God, I felt so bad. But I found hikers with a lighter to light my fingers, and I violated hormesis. I didn't adapt to the stress. It was too much. Now, after building up my hormetic ceiling, I did a 49 degrees cold plunge for 4 minutes last week with no flare-up. When you adapt to the stress, you build a higher hormetic ceiling. So just because, and I love Ben Greenfield, just because Ben Greenfield could do, I don't know, a 20-hour cold plunge, doesn't mean you can do it. Just because your friend does a 4-minute plunge doesn't mean you should do it. You want to ease your way into the stress and adapt to it. Again, I don't have time to go over it, but one of the things I do is I track my heart rate variability with the Oura Ring and my sleep. And if I do a stressor biohack and I feel better the rest of the day, I know I stayed in that zone. If I feel worse and my HRV drops, I know I did too much. Next one, stinking thinking. Zig Ziglar called it. Inflammatory thoughts. The average person has 60,000 thoughts per day, and 90% of them are the same ones from yesterday, and 85% of them are negative. George Bernard Shaw said 2% of the population think, 3% of the population think they think, and 95% of the population would rather die than think. But thinking is, or mental activity is not the same thing as thinking. We're running on autopilot. So how many of you talk to yourself every day? Raise your hand. All right. 30% of you did not raise your hand, and you're thinking, do I talk to myself? I don't know. Maybe I talk to myself. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. But are we thinking? We're going to say, some of you have done this before. I get it. Some of you have not. But on the count of 3, we're going to say this word 5 times in a row. I'm going to ask you a quick question, and you're going to answer the question out loud. All right? So on the count of 3, let's say silk. 1, 2, 3. Silk, 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 silk. What do cows drink? Who said milk? Raise your hand. They drink water. They produce milk. Silly example to show you, we're just kind of going through the motions, and your thoughts, according to Dr. Bruce Lipton, communicate with your cells to turn on genes, turn off genes. So if you have 60,000 thoughts per day, and your thoughts influence health or disease, you have 60,000 opportunities every day to put your body in an anti-inflammatory state. Greatest biohack in the world. You are the most influential person you speak to today. And I made it to the last part here. I did it. I got a couple minutes here. I told you I could do it. How many of you take vitamin G every day? Don't give it away, but if you know what it is, okay. Vitamin G is the best supplement in the world. Dr. Joe Dispenza did brain scans, vitamin G workshops. He saw cortisol drop and IgA, the immune system, protect itself in the participants who took it. Vitamin G turns on 1,200 chemical reactions that take place to repair the body and heal the body. It lowers blood pressure. It lowers A1C, we talked about that. So let me see Keto Chat now. I don't see any vendors with vitamin G. I don't have an affiliate link for vitamin. What is vitamin G?
Gratitude.
Gratitude. And I know it's funny and silly, but hey, those are real studies on what vitamin G does to heal your body. It is a universal law. What you feed energy to expands. In other words, what you appreciate appreciates, and what you think about and think about, you bring about in your life. That is a fact. If you don't believe me, believe her.
How do you think you've lived to be 97? Like, how do you think you made it this many years?
I don't know. Because I'm naughty. I eat sugar. I eat butter. I eat things that I should not eat, and I have all my life.
Well, what do you think is the secret? You know, people ask me, and I tell them that you pray a lot, you have faith.
I do have faith, yes. I really spend, like, I cannot end my day without being grateful. I never take anything for granted.
So that's probably the secret. That's how you've lived to be 97.
I don't know.
Because you never end your day without being grateful.
I don't know. I really don't.
You have a lot of gratitude in your heart.
Isn't she amazing? Vitamin G, longevity. So at 2 p.m., I have 100 of the Keto Flex second edition and about 55 of the seed oil cards. Hope to see you there. I want to do one last thing. I know the time's up, but this is going to take a few seconds. Grab your right hand. Everybody, whether you're standing back there or here, grab your right hand. Put it over your right ear. Keep it there, please, as I say this, okay? Your body was built to be self-healing. God designed your body to be self-healing. You have an inner physician within every cell. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. You are a masterpiece because you are a piece of the master, and you could remove the hand. Why did I have you do that? I didn't want it to go in one ear and out the other ear. Thank you guys. Love you so much. Vitamin G for all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you enjoyed that conversation, check out the recent interview I did with Dr. Berg, all about eating the right foods on keto and carnivore, how to burn fat and feel good.
Sometimes people think that ketones are a secondary source of fuel and the primary is glucose, but if that was the case, where was this glucose available long ago when our bodies were developing? It's so